It's cold tonight.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to our Tuesday evening, Your Body's Sign Language series. And we are nearing the end, so we're getting pretty close to the end of this chapter, which I think is pretty much the last chapter in the book as well. And yeah, then we'll take it from there and see where we go to from there. But let's pick up from where we left off last week. We're doing men and women and the different issues that are unique to the different types of people. So we're going to get, last week we dealt with some men's issues. This week we'll deal a little bit with more ladies' issues again. Always gives me grief when I do this. There we go. Okay, shrink everybody else down. So we're following through the book, Your Body's Sign Language, written by clinical nutritionist Jim McAfee. This week, as I said, ladies' issues. And one of the things is heavy menstrual bleeding or menorrhagia. And I'm not too sure if any of the ladies on this talk are familiar with this or have had this issue before. But basically, it's defined as an excessive menstrual blood loss which interferes with a woman's physical, social, emotional, and or material quality of life. And it can occur alone or in combination with other symptoms. Now, heavy menstrual bleeding contributes to iron deficiency, obviously because iron is formed in red blood cells, and when you have excessive bleeding, you are losing iron quite heavily. And you experience a similar issue with bleeding ulcers or any sort of internal bleeding that is of unknown origin. You will be losing iron as a result. Now, one of the things I found very interesting was that vitamin A may remedy this condition. Now, physicians will often prescribe birth control pills for this condition, although vitamin A has been shown to substantially improve heavy menstrual bleeding for many women. Maybe a good solution, instead of going onto your birth control pills that can mess up hormones, look at a simple thing like vitamin A. The original researchers used 50,000 IU, which stands for international units, of vitamin A daily for 15 days. That's quite a heavy dose. So if you're planning on doing this, please work in conjunction with your doctor or your gynae, because remembering that there is an upper toxic limit of vitamin A. Now, caution needs to be exercised if pregnancy is a possibility, as this vitamin is believed to cause birth defects at fairly low levels of intake. So again, please, if you're going to be doing heavy-duty usage of supplements, please speak to your doctor or gynecologist. Hopefully they have been educated in the finer workings of nutrition, but maybe if necessary, work with your dietitian as well. So some of the suggestions: supplement with vitamin A if safe. Remembering, if there's a risk of pregnancy happening, then maybe take it easy on the vitamin A. If not, well, push your vitamin A levels. So that's why they say if safe. Now remember as well that most people can convert carotenoid complex into vitamin A. So you could possibly take more carotenoids and let your body convert to the vitamin A as and how it needs. The one problem there, though, is that diabetics cannot or don't tend to convert carotenoids to vitamin A, so they do need to supplement with vitamin A. And in our range, we have the vitamin A and D, which works in conjunction because they are both fat soluble. Now you need to watch iron levels, which may drop, and this can create anemia and increase the severity of the condition. So again, work closely with your doctor because you don't want to cause another problem. And then if necessary, supplement with iron. If you are supplementing with iron, look for a chelated source, because that means your absorption will be significantly better than a non-chelated source of iron, because iron is a mineral. Now, currently, we do not have iron available due to issues that were found with some of the raw ingredients. So our best source of iron right at present is from the multi-mineral, as well as other things like Formula 4, Pro Vitality, etc. And remember, for a better absorption of iron, take vitamin C at the same time. Now, the other thing that ladies seem to have issues with, and ladies, I do sympathize with you because I think you have a lot more problems than what us men do. One of them being hot flashes. This is a sensation of flushing or feeling warm, sometimes accompanied by sweating in menopausal women. So that time when you're heading into menopause, your hormones are doing all sorts of weird and wonderful things. Hot flashes result from fluctuating hormone levels during menopause. And men, we can also go through menopause, but I don't think we have quite the same problems as the ladies do. Estrogen levels in women in the USA are often far higher than those of women in many other parts of the world. The greater the fluctuation in hormone levels, the greater the menopausal symptoms will tend to be. So if your estrogen levels are extremely high, guess what? Your hot flushes are going to be extremely high and irritating. The high estrogen levels of American women are caused by excessive body fat, poor nutrition, and lack of exercise. Amazing how three seemingly simple problems can cause a lot of much bigger problems. So that excess body fat is a big problem. Look out for it. This situation is aggravated by exposure to hormone mimics known as xenoestrogens that are released into the environment in the form of pesticides, herbicides, plastics, surfactants, and other chemicals. And scarily enough, in a lot of laundry detergents, you will find these xenoestrogens, and that is starting to cause a lot of problems. Dr. Cesar Nambasi was busy with some research on that at one stage. I don't know if she still is. Ovulation that is accompanied by the release of progesterone protects a woman from the worst effects of elevated estrogen during childbearing years. But ovulation ceases at menopause. And this is where the hormones start getting a little bit out of hand. So as we'll get into this, we're talking about flavonoids as well. And these are some of your sources of flavonoids, which include things like beetroots, frozen blueberries, red cabbage, etc. One of the characteristics of societies without a menopause problem is a lower estrogen level to begin with, and a diet that is high in phytoestrogens, otherwise known as plant estrogens, which has a net effect of further lowering estrogen. So one can see how you can actually balance out the hormones through eating the correct foods. And if you're not getting the correct foods, then you need to supplement correctly. Now, supplementation with plant estrogens, such as soy and flavonoids, will often alleviate menopausal symptoms. These weak estrogenic substances block some of the action of stronger estrogens produced within the body. So there's a very delicate balance, and nature, as we know, loves balance. So if you have too much of one thing, there's going to be an imbalance of something else. So the idea is to get everything into a perfect hormonal balance. Flavonoids, which are the water-soluble coloring pigments found in fruits and vegetables, offer a very special benefit for hot flashes. Flavonoids are not only weakly estrogenic, but they also work to improve functioning of the circulatory system, which is a key benefit where hot flashes are involved. In 1964, Charles Smith wrote that 1,200 milligrams of flavonoids, together with an equal amount of vitamin C, could alleviate hot flashes with remarkable effectiveness, remembering that flavonoids are a different source of vitamin C. And I remember Dr. Don Lawson saying that if you mix flavonoids with vitamin C, you're going to get a much, much better effect of the two, instead of if you just have vitamin C or just have flavonoids. Phospholipids and phytosterols, B-complex vitamins, minerals, including calcium and magnesium, and vitamin E, all improve hormone balance and offer promise for hot flashes and menopausal symptoms. So you can see, ladies, that there is some light at the end of the tunnel, and it is not somebody holding a firecracker. The liver is an important player in overall hormone balance, and each of these nutrients plays a role in improving liver function. Once again, nature wants balance. So it does not want too much of one, too little of another. And this is why you will find that when Neolife puts together the products, almost invariably, they will have a complex of different nutrients together, and vitamins, etc., are all put together, because what they're doing is they are following nature's blueprint. And in nature, you will never find a single thing on its own. You will never find a vitamin C, or a flavonoid, or a single vitamin E, or a single vitamin B. You will find them in conjunction with a lot of trace elements. And that is why it is so important, and that is what makes us unique, in that the SAB have looked at nature very, very carefully, not tried to recreate the wheel. They've simply used nature and harnessed the effectiveness of nature and put it together in something that works significantly more effectively than most synthetics. Since abnormal intestinal bacteria can cause reabsorption of estrogen in the body, or reabsorption of estrogen, the body is attempting to excrete, and restoring normal intestinal flora might relieve various conditions that are related to hormone imbalance. Once again, we see how important the gut health is for so many things. We've seen in previous talks how important your gut health is for things like mental problems. Never mind your immune system. Now we see that the gut is also extremely important for keeping hormones balanced. Fiber and acidophilus supplementation, as well as brewer's yeast, could be expected to encourage normal bowel function and promote better hormone balance. Now, our vitamin B complex is derived from brewer's yeast. And I've listened to one of the talks somewhere along the line, which I can't remember where exactly, but they explain very, very nicely exactly how our B complex is formulated. And they've got this special blend of brewer's yeast that they use to develop the vitamin B. Now, low serotonin levels may be a trigger for PMS, or premenstrual syndrome. Serotonin levels naturally drop prior to a woman's period. Some women have such low levels of serotonin that this drop leaves insufficient amounts of this chemical messenger to maintain psychological health. And this is where we see the extremes. And quite often ladies will have depression or various other issues, which we know as the hormones acting up. Now you can understand why and how those hormones are acting up, because again, those little signs that there's something missing, in this particular case, serotonin. Now, how do we balance hormones and reduce the menopausal symptoms without the use of medication? Simple things like exercise, the proper diet, plenty of water, sleep, soy, black cohosh, passion flower, and ginger. Now, these bottom products, you will see, you look carefully, actually, some of them are in the feminine herbal complex that we have. And soy, while a lot of people fight against soy and say how bad it is, soy actually isn't the enemy. It is how the soy is processed that is where the problem comes about. And also where and how it's grown. Now, dietary and lifestyle changes may also make menopause easier to survive. High intake of sugar and fat promotes weight gain and causes estrogen levels to spiral upwards. So that's why it is so important to exercise correctly and maintain a consistent and constant weight. Exercise keeps weight down, and lower weight is usually reflected in lower estrogen levels, which of course has the knock-on effect of less stress. Millions of American women have been prematurely thrown into menopause with the accompanying symptoms by hysterectomies. Hysterectomies are nasty things. And sadly, I see ladies pretty much every week having hysterectomies. Now, there's another procedure called a myomectomy, which is the surgical removal of uterine fibroids and is one advisable alternative. So should you be having issues, you go to your gynae and they say, oh, we need to do a hysterectomy. Please discuss this with them and ask them if there are any other options through diet, through any other ways, exercise, whatever, to prevent the hysterectomy, and should it be absolutely necessary, is the option for a myomectomy available before one goes to the drastic extreme of having a hysterectomy? I see these ladies after the hysterectomies, and a lot of them take a lot of strain. The ultimate solution for an easy transition through menopause is lower estrogen levels. Once again, balance. A way of living that leads in this direction combines a diet high in vegetables, rich in phytochemicals and fiber, while low in fat and sugars, with a reasonable amount of exercise. Exercise does not mean that you have to go and spend 4 or 5 hours a day in the gym. It means go take a walk around the block, go for a walk in your garden, park further away from the entrance to the local mall. I've actually had a couple of patients tell me that they go to our local malls to do walking, and they simply walk from one end of the mall to the other. It is their form of exercise. Unfortunately, it is inside, but they find that it is the safest place to exercise down here on the coast. Although we do have some places that are quite pleasant and safe to walk in outside, try and find a place outside to exercise, because it is better than exercising inside. And remember, if you're outside, specifically in the sunlight, you're then going to get some extra vitamin D as well, which can only benefit you. Now, reducing excessive estrogen levels offers many benefits, including improving sluggish circulation, decreasing the risk of stroke and clotting, sorry, my apologies, reducing mood swings by normalizing the copper and zinc levels, this is your mineral levels, decreasing the risk of migraine, fibroids, endometriosis, and autoimmune diseases. So the suggestions: avoid excess sugar and fat intake. Now, doesn't this look familiar to things that we've been seeing throughout this entire book so far? We need to consume a variety of seeds, beans, grains, and vegetables, which are rich in phytonutrients and fiber. And where do we find whole grains? If you're not getting it in your diet, because whole grains in general are actually quite difficult things to get hold of these days in today's society. So in my opinion, the best source is our unique product called Treon, which has your wheat, rice, and soy oils, which makes it significantly better and healthier, that you don't have all the extra bits and pieces that you don't really need. We need to supplement with vitamin B complex and vitamin C with flavonoids to support hormone regulation. And our flavonoid complex is probably one of the most potent ones on the market today, because it does not just have a single flavonoid or 2 or 3. It has a whole complex of, I think I'm under correction, in excess of 400 different flavonoids brought together in this little supplement. And then we need to supplement with vitamin E complex, remembering that vitamin E is a complex of 8 different things, not just an alpha tocopherol. We need to include calcium, magnesium, and other minerals, because that in conjunction works together all in their own way. And we need to have essential fatty acids and phytosterols. And probably one of your most comprehensive packs, if somebody's looking for a pack of products, is your Daily Vitality. I tend to underestimate this pack, but your Daily Vitality contains 2 Formula 4, 1 vitamin E, 1 vitamin B, 1 vitamin C, and 1 multi-mineral. I think that's quite a convenient little package over there. What do you think? Now we get to men's issues. We'll just carry on over here quickly, but we get to men's issues. One of them being impotence. And this does not have to hit at a specific age. This can hit at pretty much any age, I think. Impotence before the age of 60 is a risk indicator for the development of heart disease later in life. Impotence is often caused by diabetes, which also obviously has its own risks and problems. And the older a man becomes, the greater the likelihood he will become impotent, although this is usually due to disease rather than natural aging. So men, hang in there, because it doesn't mean to say that as you get older, we fall apart. We just have to stay younger for longer. Obtaining adequate intake of the amino acid L-arginine not only offers the possibility for ending impotence, but it also improves heart function along with many other benefits. So if you were at risk of heart disease, this little amino acid should decrease that risk. Arginine supplementation may be undesirable in some circumstances, such as for migraine sufferers, depression, and autoimmune diseases. So be careful, take a history. Once again, work in conjunction with your physician that can do a full medical history, and then you can work around what supplements are best or not. Now, the benefits of arginine and nitric oxide, and where do you find arginine, just by the way? You find it in things like nuts. My suggestion, raw nuts, not your roasted and salted nuts, but raw nuts, because that way you're going to get your beneficial oils like vitamin E, you're going to get your fiber, and you're going to get your arginine. Dairy products, legumes, pumpkin seeds, and seafood are also good sources of arginine. So the benefits include a reduced blood pressure. They help to keep coronary arteries open, which is always a good thing. Reduces the risk of blood clots by acting as a blood thinner. Now, quite often, blood thinners that are given to you by your doctor work sort of like paint thinners, where they physically dilute the blood. Whereas what a lot of these products do is they thin the blood, but they also tend to make your platelets less sticky. So that allows the blood to flow more easily and lessens the risk of clotting, because when blood stops moving or slows down or gets too thick, that is when your clots develop. The clot on its own, if you've cut your hand or your arm or whatever, and it's starting to bleed, you actually want it to clot, because otherwise you're going to be in a very sticky mess. But if those clots clog together and start to move through the system, and they lodge in the lung, very, very painful. They lodge in the heart, we don't want to go there, or they lodge in the brain, which will result in a stroke. So you've got to be very careful of blood clots. And blood clots can be minuscule little things, or they can also be as thick and probably longer than my little finger. And I've seen cases where people have been hospitalized because of that. And it's quite a delicate thing to overcome. These products also help the immune system kill bacteria and viruses. Remember, our immune system is an extremely potent thing, and it needs as much ammunition as possible to defend our body to the best of its ability. These products also act as a messenger molecule between nerve cells. So there's a lot of uses for the arginine and the nitric oxide. Makes breathing easier. And we all know what happens if we can't breathe. The results are not very good. And it functions as an antioxidant. We've seen throughout this book the stories about antioxidants and how important they are. And it reduces the risk of diabetes. And if you can reduce or prevent diabetes, you have immediately improved your longevity and your health options for the rest of your life. And it stimulates the production of human growth hormone, otherwise known as HGH. Arginine is known to be essential for herpes simplex viral replication. And herpes manifests itself in things like fever blisters, amongst other things. Restriction of arginine-containing foods, such as nuts, chocolate, and gelatin. Oops, just get this thing out of my way. And supplementation with lysine, which is thought to compete with arginine, is sometimes quite effective in preventing viral outbreaks. Arginine, while it is considered a non-essential amino acid, we've heard of the essentials and we've heard of the non-essentials. Arginine is one of your non-essential amino acids, is sufficiently beneficial in most circumstances that one would not wish to significantly depress tissue levels of this amino acid. While arginine may improve human reproduction, it also helps virus reproduction. So beware of too much of a good thing. And we all know about what viruses are doing at present. Now, garlic contains some arginine, but it also has the ability to increase nitric oxide activity apart from its arginine content, which is a good balance. So garlic may be an option for obtaining additional nitric oxide activity in situations where arginine supplementation is not an option, such as in a severe viral infection. So the suggestions: we need to supplement with arginine and lecithin. We need to supplement with garlic. And over the past little while, I've come to really, really like my garlic supplement. Obviously, if ever I do cooking, I use garlic to cook with, but I know I'm not going to be getting enough of that. So in times of stress, in times of warfare, for want of any better terminology, when viruses and things are concerned, garlic is extremely good at acting as an actual antibacterial and antiviral. So I had the misfortune of having a touch of gastro, which just, by the way, is doing the rounds at the moment, just recently, and I whacked it with garlic and acidophilus. The results were quite mind-blowing, and it sorted out my problems very, very quickly. For those of you who attended our last ADT, I'll probably be exposing a few things now that maybe I shouldn't do, but about half an hour before ADT was due to start, I was not feeling on top of my game. In fact, I had landed up in the bathroom with extreme nausea, cramping, and I just was not a happy camper. Jenny will understand because I put her on standby to do my presentation. I whacked myself with a couple of garlic and a couple of acidophilus and a touch of aloe juice. By the time we went online half an hour later, most people were completely unaware that I was having a problem. And by the time ADT was finished, so were my symptoms of the cramping and the diarrhea. It works that fast in some cases. Oops, why is my system frozen on me? There we go. So, garlic. For those who are not a fan of eating garlic, we have a garlic supplement. Once again, the SAB does not just put together garlic, put together garlic together with all the other allium plants in one supplement with an acid-proof covering to go through your stomach, which is very acid, as we know, into the small intestine to give us the best results. So even if you do eat garlic, I would suggest actually going through and supplementing with that. And that is the end of my presentation tonight. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen and open the floor to any questions or testimonies. Please unmute yourself if you want to ask questions. We've got about 5 minutes left. Anybody? Okay, I'm going to